Millionaire discovers hidden JOY, MAID and disabled daughter's incredible dance transforms life. Ethan Brooks, a 42-year-old self-made millionaire, stood at the grand window of his sprawling suburban mansion, looking out over manicured lawns. It felt like a prison. His wealth, once a badge of honor, now trapped him inside a gilded cage. Each day at his high-stress finance job weighed on him like a heavy stone, isolating him from everything that truly mattered. The phone calls, the meetings, he felt suffocated under the crushing expectations to keep his empire afloat. Behind the glossy facade and the designer furniture, an overwhelming sense of loneliness loomed large. Then there was Maria, the maid who kept his expansive home clean and orderly. She was a single mother, raising her spirited daughter, Lily, who had cerebral palsy and an unquenchable passion for dance. Ethan had always brushed off their struggles, too entangled in his own turmoil to truly see them. But one afternoon, as he watched Lily swirl and twirl in the living room, her face lit up with joy, he felt the ice around his heart begin to crack. Each spin was a celebration of her spirit, a declaration of independence against a world that had dealt her a tough hand. "Ethan, look at Lily." Maria beamed one day, her pride palpable as she watched her daughter dance. Ethan felt an unexpected tightness in his chest. It was captivating and heartbreaking all at once. Lily's vibrant movements radiated hope, contrasting starkly with Ethan's own stagnant life. He felt a stirring he hadn't experienced in years, a flicker of connection igniting within him. But the pressure from work loomed like a storm cloud, threatening to pull him further from the estrangement with his teenage daughter, Emily. She often sat in her room, eyes cast downcast, missing her father more painfully with each passing day. Their relationship strained under the weight of his ambition. The sacrifices he made were stark reminders of his failure to nurture love at home. As summer approached, the annual local arts festival buzzed in the air, and excitement rustled through the neighborhood. Maria and Lily were preparing a performance that echoed resilience. Ethan felt an unfamiliar mix of hope and trepidation churn inside him. Could he support them? Did stepping into an arena that showcased raw social realities mean confronting his own vulnerabilities? Caught off guard while observing Lily practice in the backyard, Ethan grappled with an unsettling realization. The comfort of wealth failed to fill the void inside him. All it afforded him were luxury items that couldn't buy authentic love or connection. With every beat of the music, something deep within urged him to act. Should he choose to step away from the shadows of his solitary, pampered existence? As the day of the performance approached, heartbeats quickened around him. The park would be filled with families, friends, and neighbors, all gathered together, eyes bright with anticipation. Would he really take that leap? Would he choose connection over cold, hard cash? As the performance drew nearer, glimmers of hope and determination flickered within him. Could facing the truth be his vehicle for redemption? And as his daughter watched from afar, the weight of that decision became a defining question. Would Ethan choose to embrace the warmth of human connection or retreat back to the lonely luxury that had become his life? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the crowd gathering beneath the twinkling lights, Ethan could sense the energy shifting. As the music started, Lily took the stage. All eyes were on her, a collective breath held in awe. Would he stand on the sidelines, a mere spectator of life, or would he risk everything to support the bright light that seemed to ignite by just witnessing her dance? This moment felt electric, the urgency of his choice permeated the air, begging for action. Would he step forward and join the dance, not only toward Maria and Lily but also reaching out to the father he longed to be? Ethan felt his heart race as he watched Lily step confidently into the spotlight. The park was alive with chatter and laughter, but in that moment, all sounds faded. It was just him, the vibrant energy of the music, and the girl who danced like she could touch the sky. Every twirl, every leap, was a testament to her spirit and determination. It ignited something deep within him, stirring a desire that felt foreign yet exhilarating. He squeezed his hands, pondering the two paths before him. Could he truly step outside the perfection of his carefully curated life? The chaos, the unpredictability of joining Lily and Maria in this moment scared him, yet it also thrilled him. He had spent too long hiding behind walls of wealth, too long drowning in the echoes of his own solitude. Watching Lily dance, he realized he desperately wanted to be part of that rhythm. As Lily spun on stage, her laughter infused with the music, Ethan's resolve began to solidify. He imagined himself captured in those vibrant moments, breaking down barriers and facing the reality of his disconnection with Emily. If he couldn't embrace joy here and now, when would he? His feet almost moved on their own. Before he knew it, he found himself stepping away from the crowd. Each step felt like shedding layers of who he thought he needed to be. The crowd was alive, radiating warmth and encouragement, and as he moved closer to the stage, he felt lighter. A sudden shout broke through the music. "Come on, Mr. Brooks. Join her." One of the neighbors, familiar but distant, had seen him. Laughter and applause rippled through the audience. Their encouragement fueled him, and his heart swelled with reckless abandon. He didn't want to be the millionaire hiding behind glass anymore. Then he saw Emily. Sitting off to the side, her expression unreadable, mixing apprehension with curiosity. It twisted something inside him. She had grown up alone in his shadow. He wanted her to see the father he could be, one willing to step into the light, to embrace imperfection and vulnerability. Holding his breath, Ethan stepped onto the stage. The lights bathed him in warmth, and he felt their eyes on him, a mix of surprise and delight. The music pulsed through him, calling out to the little boy who used to dance in his living room before life chased away those dreams. He looked at Lily, her eyes sparkling with excitement, and without thinking, he mirrored her movements, stumbling yet carefree. Laughter erupted from the crowd, filling the air with electric energy. Emily's expression softened, surprise turned to a glimmer of something that felt like hope. Here was her father, brave in his folly, embracing life in the same way Lily embraced her dance. It was messy, unfiltered joy, and he felt free. The performance unfolded in spontaneous rhythm, the three of them forming a connection in that moment. Maria's encouraging smile was a beacon as she cheered them on. Ethan lost himself in the dance. It felt like the shackles of his past were falling away. Each sway brought him closer to a life that mattered, one where love, laughter, and connection outweighed status and money. But just as he felt the warmth of potential seep into his bones, a sudden shadow flickered across the stage. A truth he wasn't quite ready to confront loomed just beyond the vibrant lights. Would this newfound courage sustain him beyond the dance, or was it simply a fleeting moment of joy? Ethan's heart raced as he locked eyes with Emily once more. Would she understand? Would she embrace this new version of him, or push him back into the shadows? The music swelled, carrying forward their dance of hope and vulnerability, and just then, from the back of the park, an unexpected visitor caught his eye, shattering the moment of bliss. Who was it, and what would they demand of him? Ethan squinted against the bright lights, straining to see through the haze of excitement. As the music surged, he caught a glimpse of the figure stepping forward from the darkness. It was his business partner, Richard, a suit far too formal for the atmosphere, the edges of his mouth drawn tight. The laughter around him faded into an ominous rhythm. "Ethan." Richard's voice sliced through the music like a knife. "What are you doing here?" There was a mix of disbelief and disdain in his tone, the kind that sent a chill down Ethan's spine. Ethan's heart pounded harder. He had wanted to break free from the chains of his cushioned life. He had wanted Lily's vibrant energy to propel him away from dull meetings and sterile boardrooms. But here was Richard, a reminder of everything he was trying to escape. The crowd had quieted. Whispers accumulated like clouds, building a storm of speculation. Ethan could almost feel the weight of their eyes, searching for a justification for his unusual behavior. He attempted to smile, to shake off the discomfort, but the corner of Richard's mouth curled into a smirk that only deepened the tension. "You can't be serious," Richard continued, eyebrows raised. "This is no place for you. You're a businessman, not some performer." "Maybe it's time I redefine who I am," Ethan replied, his voice stronger than he felt. He glanced at Lily, who stood wide-eyed with excitement and confusion. This was not the moment he had envisioned when he took the leap onto the stage. "Redefine? You're a father, Ethan. Act like one." Richard's words hung heavy in the air. It wasn't just an accusation, it felt like an unraveling thread of everything Ethan was trying to sew back together. Lily caught his hand, squeezing it. Her touch grounded him, reminding him that there was something worth fighting for, a connection that was rooted in joy, not judgment. Emily's gaze shifted from Ethan to Richard, and he could see the wheels turning in her mind, evaluating this man who stood for everything Ethan had tried to escape. The music had stilled in the awkward silence, leaving only the rustling of leaves and the distant laughter of children playing nearby. Ethan felt exposed, the thrill of dancing fading away, replaced by the anxiety of confrontation. He could sense the disappointment twisting in his chest, but as he looked into Emily's eyes, he knew he had to stand tall. "Richard, I am tired of playing the part expected of me," Ethan spoke, forcing the words through the tightness in his throat. "I want to be part of something real, of who I am with my family, not just who I am in business. I want to be a father who dances, who embraces life, who connects." Richard's face paled slightly, but he recovered quickly, shaking his head as if trying to dismiss what he had just heard. "This is a mistake. You're going to ruin your image. Our image. Or yours." Ethan stepped closer, driven by a surge of courage he hadn't anticipated. A ripple of gasps echoed through the crowd as onlookers absorbed the tension, not knowing which way the moment would tip. Lily's dance had transformed him in ways he couldn't have imagined. He wanted Emily to see him as her dad, vulnerable, free, a little messy. As the music resumed, he turned to Lily and Maria, throwing them a tentative smile, beckoning them back into the rhythm of life. Behind him, Richard fumed silently, the tension palpable. "We don't need your approval," Ethan said firmly to Richard, feeling as light as air. "This is my life." The corners of Emily's mouth lifted slightly, a flicker of pride in her eyes. There was a muted gasp from the crowd as they began to inch forward, a wave of support flowing toward Ethan. For the first time, he felt they were with him, not against him. But deep down, even as the music enveloped him once more, he knew the battle wasn't over. Richard wouldn't simply walk away, he would come back with demands that could force him back into that life of luxury. Just then, he felt a hand grip his shoulder hard. Ethan turned to see another man, this one unfamiliar, stepping from the shadows. With an unsettling presence. "Ethan Brooks, we need to talk," he said, his voice low and gravelly. Panic surged within him. What did this stranger want? And how would it all change the brave steps he had just taken? Ethan's heart raced as he faced the newcomer, a chill creeping down his spine. The man's presence was nothing like Richard's, there was an intensity in his eyes that seemed to pierce through the haze of excitement. The music faded again, replaced by an unsettling quiet that enveloped the small crowd around them. "What do you want?" Ethan managed to ask, his voice barely rising above a whisper. His family's eyes bore into him, a mix of concern and curiosity. He had promised Lily a night of freedom, of joy, and now this stranger threatened all of that. The man stepped closer, lowering his voice to something close to a growl. "I know about your little escapade tonight. You're stepping into dangerous territory, Ethan. Your partner is worried, and so should you be." Ethan swallowed hard. "Worried about what exactly? Me finding happiness?" The anger that boiled within him surged forth, fueled by the recent confrontation with Richard. He wasn't going to let anyone dictate his path anymore. The stranger held up a hand, his expression hardening. This isn't about happiness. It's about responsibility and reputation. You've built a career, a life that others depend on. You think this dance is a carefree decision? It's a mistake that could cost you everything. Ethan's vision blurred for a moment, and the words hung heavy in his ears. Richard was right, the stakes were high. But was he really ready to return to the life he had begun to shed? Lily squeezed his hand tighter, grounding him. Daddy, don't listen to him. You're happy. Isn't that what matters? Her simple honesty struck a chord deep within him, igniting a flicker of hope. He glanced at Emily, who stood frozen, her face a mixture of confusion and admiration. The stranger didn't hesitate. Your beautiful life isn't just about you anymore. The moment you decided to have a family, you became part of a bigger equation. And trust me, the decisions you make now will ripple out to everyone around you. Ethan felt a knot tighten in his chest. Wasn't that what he was trying to escape? He was tired of living for an image, tired of feeling as if he were always being watched and judged. This wasn't just Richard's weight on his shoulders, it was his own insecurities clawing their way back in. Maybe you're right, Ethan replied at last, the weight of his words heavy on him. But it's not right for me to live someone else's life, to be who I'm not, even if it means losing what I built. The man's gaze softened just a fraction, as if he saw the battle within Ethan. You think redefining yourself means ruining what you have? It doesn't have to. But you need to start making choices that will keep your family safe. You have power in your hands. Power. The word stirred something within him, but it was not the power Richard wielded in business meetings. It was the power to choose authenticity over expectation, to embrace joy over fear. Just then, the crowd noticing Ethan's turmoil seemed to draw closer, an unseen wall of support building around him. Their expectant eyes filled with hope. I can't let fear guide my choices anymore, Ethan whispered, feeling a wave of courage crash over him. He turned back to Richard but felt compelled to glance at the stranger again, who stood there waiting, arms crossed, gauging his response. With a sudden resolution, he straightened up. You know what? I'm defining my own path tonight. No more hiding. You don't get to decide my life for me. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause, shattering the frenetic silence that had enveloped them. Tears threatened to spill over as he looked at Lily, her face glowing with pride. But as the tension shifted into something brighter, the stranger leaned in one last time. Remember, choices come with consequences. You may not face them tonight, but they will come. Before Ethan could respond, the man melted back into the crowd, leaving a lingering sense of foreboding. As the music picked up once more, Ethan took a deep breath, fearing that the moment was merely the prelude to the real struggle ahead. What did that threat mean for him? And his family? And would he be strong enough to keep his newfound freedom in the midst of chaos? Ethan stood in the center of the celebration, the vibrant lights swirling around him, yet he felt miles away. The cheers from the crowd washed over him, but the weight of the stranger's words lingered heavily. He couldn't shake off the unease. Daddy, look. Lily tugged at his hand, pulling his attention to the dance floor, where couples swirled gracefully. Her eyes sparkled with joy, and for a moment, Ethan forgot about everything else as he watched her dance with abandon. That pure joy. That was why he was fighting, wasn't it? Emily wrapped her arm around him, drawing him back. You okay? That guy he just left? Ethan nodded slowly, still feeling the intensity of those dark eyes on him. Yeah, but his words. He scrubbed a hand down his face, a mix of frustration and confusion surfacing. It's not just what he said. It's everything I feel right now. I don't want to slip back into who I was. Emily's expression softened, understanding flooding back into her eyes. You know, it's hard for anyone to change. But being true to yourself, that's a journey. You don't have to rush into anything. Her gentle words wrapped around him, offering a moment of clarity amidst the chaos. You think I can do this? I feel like I'm at a crossroads, You and Lily, you deserve the best from me, but I'm so scared. She took a step closer, her voice barely above a whisper. To be honest, you doing this tonight, standing up for yourself, that was the best you've shown us. You just need to keep believing in yourself. His heart fluttered at her encouragement. Suddenly, Lily's laughter rang out, vibrant and infectious, pulling him even more into the present. It was like a mantra, reminding him of all that was real and good in his life. Just then, Lily caught his gaze, her tiny hand waving frantically, urging him to join her on the dance floor. Come on, Ethan. She shouted, grinning ear to ear. Dance with me. Don't you want to have fun? Ethan hesitated, the familiar anxiety creeping back in. What if he embarrassed himself? What would people think? But then he looked at Lily's eager eyes, sparkling with genuine joy, a warmth blooming in his chest. This was his shot to let go, to embrace joy in its purest form. Taking a deep breath, he approached the dance floor. The world around him melted away as he found himself in the rhythm, moving awkwardly at first, but with each step, he felt freer. The music pulsed through him, it was liberating. Lily spun around, her laughter echoing, inviting him into her embrace. In that moment, he felt the weight of the world lift. See? I knew you could do it. She cheered, and he couldn't help but chuckle, feeling a surge of warmth that only a father could know. Suddenly, a familiar face cut through the crowd. Richard stood not far from them, arms crossed, a smirk plastered on his face. The chill returned, a stark reminder of their last conversation. But this time, something flickered inside Ethan. Richard was just a man, and tonight, he would not dim his light. Ethan danced even more wildly, matching Lily's enthusiasm, his heart racing with a new rhythm of defiance. The crowd around them began to cheer, their spirits hitting a dizzying high. But even as Ethan immersed himself in the moment, he could feel a ripple of unease lurking just outside the realm of joy. A sense of doom clung to his joy like a shadow. Lily noticed his distraction and leaned in close. Daddy, you're the best dancer. Before he could respond, a quick movement caught his eye. The stranger was back, positioned at the edge of the crowd, watching with that piercing gaze. Don't ruin this moment, Ethan thought, but as the music swelled around him, he had to admit that this was just the beginning of something larger. What awaited him as he continued to dance his way toward an uncertain future? Was the power he felt real, or just a temporary high? The night fluttered with potential, and chaos waited just behind the curtain, ready to break through. Ethan lost himself in the rhythm, the electric beat of the music weaving through the crowd like a vibrant thread. Laughter and cheers erupted all around him, folding into the night, but the shadow of the stranger loomed larger than ever. He could feel those penetrating eyes on him, a reminder of the doubts clinging to his heart. Dance, Daddy! Lily shouted again, her face flushed with enthusiasm. She twirled away, the gauzy fabric of her dress billowing around her like a little cloud of happiness. Every twirl seemed to pull Ethan further from his anxiety, and in that moment, the world faded away. He managed to match Lily's spins, their laughter mingling as they danced together in a whirl of delight. For the first time in a long while, Ethan felt what it meant to truly live in the moment. Each turn allowed more light to seep in, and he caught glimpses of Emily smiling proudly at her family. But just as he embraced the bliss, the stranger took a step closer. Ethan's pulse quickened. The man leaned against a pillar, a watchful silhouette against the colorful backdrop. Dread crept back in, weaving through the joy like a stubborn weed among flowers. Keep dancing, Emily said, nudging him gently, sensing the sudden shift in Ethan's focus. She caught his eye, her nod urging him to shake off the uncertainty. Don't let him get to you. You're here for Lily. It struck Ethan then his heart wasn't just battling self-doubt, it was navigating the dream he'd nearly lost sight of. The one where freedom did not have to come at a price. With renewed determination, he took Lily's hands, lifting her high into the air. She squealed with delight, her laughter pure and infectious. It was just the two of them now, father and daughter, spinning wildly, unencumbered, connecting on a level that transcended spoken words. The stranger stepped again into the light, the moment colliding with tension. Ethan placed Lily back on the ground and squared his shoulders. He did not want this moment stolen. "Who are you?" Ethan shouted over the music, his voice tempered with bravado yet tinged with fire. The crowd quieted for a heartbeat, like they could feel the shift in the air. Conversation stilled, eyes flicking toward the confrontation before them. The stranger raised an eyebrow, seemingly unfazed. "Just someone who knows what you're hiding," he said coolly, a faint smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. Every bit of Ethan's exhilaration strung taut. He could feel the all-consuming fear trying to take over, but deep down, he felt the tiny embers of strength beginning to glow. He had fought too hard for his family, for himself, to be dragged back into the darkness. "Don't listen to him, Daddy," Lily called out, her voice innocent yet fierce. "You're not hiding anything. You're the best." Her words ignited something deep within him. He took a step forward, propelling himself into the moment. "You don't know me at all," Ethan replied steadily, his voice steady and clear. "I'm not who I used to be." The crowd began to build, cheering, a wave of support lapping at Ethan's determination. Their energy wrapped around him, lifting him higher, pushing back against the encroaching dread. But even as he stood there, a flicker of uncertainty nagged at the edges of his mind. Was he truly ready to confront the storm that lurked beneath the surface? The stranger's presence was a painful reminder that change wasn't simply awarded, it required battle. Related past wounds throbbed like an open wound. What would happen if he slipped again? Would he lose everything he fought for? As light and shadows danced around him, the music swelled, and Ethan knew he had to dig deeper. The truth awaited him in the middle of this chaos, but deep down, a different kind of fear stirred, a fear of discovering not just who he was, but who he was meant to become. What truth awaited him with the stranger's words? Would facing the source of his fears bring clarity or chaos? The beat dropped, a new wave of energy crashing over them, and Ethan felt the heat of resolve awakening. Ethan squared his shoulders, the crowd's energy surrounding him like a protective force. He could feel the adrenaline pulsing through his veins as he faced the stranger, who continued to gaze at him with an intimidating smirk, a predatory gleam in his eye. "What do you want from me?" Ethan's voice cut through the music, sharp and unwavering. Lily's little hand gripped his tighter, her trust bolstering his courage. The stranger took a step closer, the colorful lights flickering off his face, revealing a blend of challenge and amusement. "Nothing much," he replied, his tone as smooth as silk, "just the truth. Isn't that what we all want? To be free from our own lies?" Ethan's heart raced, the words gnawing at his insides like a slow-burning fire. He wanted to deny it, to shout out that he was free, that he had moved beyond the chains of his past. But just then, memories flooded back, moments of weakness, slipping away from what he loved, the empty bottles, the despair. "Daddy, don't listen," Lily's small voice chimed in, her face a mask of concern. "You're not a liar." Ethan turned to her, the light reflecting in her eyes. She was so small, yet her belief in him radiated with the power of a mountain. It became clear that this was not just a standoff between him and the stranger, it was a very personal battle within himself. He needed to confront the version of Ethan that lingered in shadow, to reclaim everything he thought lost. With a deep breath, he addressed the stranger again. "You don't know who I am." "Not really. I've fought demons you couldn't even imagine. And I'm here for my daughter." The stranger paused, his smirk faltering for a brief moment, and the crowd took a collective breath. Ethan could feel their curiosity, their need for resolution. "Have you really?" came the cool reply, "because in every lie, there's a spark of truth." "What are you hiding from her? You think she can't sense it?" Ethan hesitated. He knew that he wore his pain differently now, that his past was woven into the very fabric of who he was as a father. But would Lily ever have to bear the weight of his fears? Would she ever have to see him as anything less than the hero he longed to be? In that moment, clarity washed over him. He was no longer that helpless man trapped in despair, he was stronger now, not just for himself but for his daughter. If you think I'm hiding, then fine. I'll show you, he declared, his voice rising above the murmurs of the crowd. I'll show everyone. He swept Lily into his arms, lifting her high once again, this time with a fierce spark in his eyes. The music began to change, the tempo speeding up, and a wave of energy surged. They twirled together, laughter ringing out, and with every spin, he felt more alive, more honest, more like the man he wanted to be. The atmosphere thickened as the stranger's expression shifted from arrogance to disbelief, and Ethan seized the moment. He lowered Lily gently and continued to dance, a whirlwind of joyful abandon, feeling the warmth of acceptance flow through him as he solidified this newfound resolve. Just then, the stranger stepped back, his demeanor shifting to something darker. You think this is over? He sneered, his voice cold cutting through the jubilant background. You can't run from your past. It always catches up. Ethan's heart plummeted into his stomach. The music faded behind him momentarily as those words hung heavy in the air. The escape he sought felt shaky again, like the ground beneath him could split open at any moment. But then he looked down, right into Lily's sparkling eyes, and remembered that it wasn't just about him anymore. I'm not running, he said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. I'm moving forward. The crowd erupted into applause, their cheers drowning the stranger's voice, strengthening the bond between Ethan and his daughter. It was a moment of power, of clarity, of awakening. But as he closed his eyes to embrace the music, a shiver ran down his spine. What awaited him was still uncertain. Would he have to face the consequences of his past, not just today, but every day onward? He twirled, sparking the energy of the moment, fighting back the storm brewing inside. And in that chaos, one thought burned brightly: what if the truth he feared to confront was actually the key to fully unlocking his freedom? As the music played on, a nagging sensation crept in. The dance was just the beginning. A reckoning awaited, and Ethan could feel its weight, looming just beyond the dance floor. Ethan's heart raced as the crowd's enthusiasm enveloped him, but there in the midst of their celebration, the stranger's words echoed relentlessly in his mind. He could feel a weight pressing down on him, a reminder that while the dance was a joyful act, the confrontation still lingered. Lily, he whispered, crouching down to look directly into her shining eyes. What if my past finds me again? What if I can't be the dad you need? Her small fingers tightened around his, an unyielding grip forged in trust. But you are my dad. You're not the man you used to be. You're here now. Ethan couldn't help but feel warmth flood his chest. She was right. He had fought ghosts, wrestled with memories that felt like chains. Yet here was Lily, breathing life into his doubts. I'm trying, he said, trying to breathe new strength into his voice. I'm trying to be better. The music swelled as he stood up, that sense of empowerment igniting once more within him. The stranger's shadow drifted to the edge of his thoughts, but Ethan refused to let it take hold. Perhaps tonight was about transformation. Perhaps dancing was more than movement, it was a thread weaving him closer to who he was meant to be. He took Lily's hand again, and they stepped back onto the floor. With each beat, he let go of his fears, allowing the rhythm to carry him. The crowd responded to their infectious energy, clapping and laughing, and for a moment, the world around him melted away. But then the music faltered, like a record scratch, and in that moment of silence, a palpable tension sprang up again. The stranger, reappearing like a dark cloud in a clear sky, leaned closer. You think you can dance away from your past? That won't find you. Ethan's chest tightened. What do you want from me? He demanded, the fear rising in his throat, hot and raging. I want to see how far you can fall, the stranger replied, his gaze piercing through Ethan. How long before the lies unravel? Ethan's confidence wavered, but he felt Lily's grip strengthen. Glancing down at her, he took a deep breath, igniting that spark of defiance. "You're wrong," he said, his voice steadier this time. "I can't slip back. Not when I have so much to fight for." And just like that, the music surged back to life, a fast-paced beat that made the ground feel electric beneath his feet. He and Lily launched into a series of playful spins, their laughter echoing like a beacon in the night. The energy shifted, and he could see the crowd beginning to buzz with emotion again, reminding him that he wasn't alone. The stranger's smirk faltered for a moment, doubt creeping into his expression. Ethan seized that crack, filling it with his undeniable resolve. "I'm not afraid of the truth," he shouted, pulling Lily close for a big lift, their bodies moving as one, a testament to love, hope, and fighting back. As the crowd erupted into cheers, something shifted in him. He realized that no matter how hard the fight was, he had the power to shape his own future. But the stranger narrowed his eyes, stepping into the light more deliberately, whispering something to the crowd, his expression twisted into a malicious grin. Ethan felt a shiver of unease ripple down his spine. What was coming? Was the stranger really finished? Or was this just the prelude to a deeper conflict, one that might not be settled with dance alone? He tightened his hold on Lily as the music blared around them, a reminder that freedom was within his reach. But deep within, an unsettling thought took root. If the truth he faced was tied to the darkest part of him, could even that be transformed into a source of strength? The music continued to pulse, but beneath the surface, another storm was brewing, and Ethan knew he had to brace for its arrival. What secrets was the stranger prepared to unveil that could threaten everything he held dear? Ethan continued to dance with Lily, but his heart couldn't shake the tension coiling in his chest. The cheers of the crowd felt distant now, like echoes bouncing off a faraway wall. The stranger's presence was still heavy in the air, casting a shadow he couldn't ignore. With every beat of the music, anxiety washed over him, and he glanced around as if expecting the stranger to take a step forward, demanding answers he wasn't ready to give. Lily, sensing his unrest, pulled him closer. "Daddy, look. Everyone's smiling." Her eyes sparkled, a bright reflection of innocent joy. In that moment, she became an anchor for Ethan. He couldn't let fear swallow them. "You're right, Lily," he said, forcing a smile, his heart racing with the need to shield her from the chaos around them. "Let's dance like nobody's watching." As they spun together, he tried to focus on the laughter, the sheer delight of the crowd, the ecstatic rhythm that flowed through them. But then he saw it, the stranger, lurking at the edge, whispering into the ears of onlookers like a serpent with a venomous message. "What is he saying?" Ethan muttered under his breath, and then it hit him. The crowd's energy shifted as hushed murmurs mingled with the music. People began to turn, faces betraying confusion and curiosity. "We can ignore him," Lily declared boldly, guiding Ethan into a new twirl. "Just keep dancing." Ethan struggled against the weight of his own doubt. What if the stranger was right? What if dancing couldn't save them from the truth? Just as that thought sank in, he felt a hand on his shoulder. He spun around to face one of the patrons from the crowd, a middle-aged woman who seemed familiar. "Is everything okay?" she asked, concern etched on her face. "You look worried." Ethan opened his mouth to reassure her, but before he could speak, the stranger's voice sliced through the noise. "You really think this charade holds any meaning? What are you pretending to escape?" The crowd shifted again, half of them now intrigued, half on the edge of their seats, as if they were awaiting a climactic scene in a movie. The woman's eyes narrowed. "Don't listen to him. You're here for a reason." "But what reason?" he thought, leaning inward to Lily, who was blissfully unaware of the brewing storm. What if the truth is darker than any of us can imagine? Suddenly, the stranger laughed, a ghastly sound that echoed through the night. "Oh, they'll find out soon enough. Every dance has a cost, and every joy hides a shadow." Bursts of unease rippled among the crowd, and Ethan felt a sense of betrayal building. Was this how quickly joy could turn to anxiety? Was everything he deconstructed a safe space for Lily suddenly about to collapse? But then, a flicker of recognition danced in Lily's eyes. "Dance with me, Daddy." She tugged insistently, pulling him back to the floor, the energy radiating from her infectious spirit. With every step they took, Ethan fought to reclaim the moment. They began to outshine the stranger's darkness, their movements a defiance to the tension gnawing at him. He could feel the crowd's joy begin to envelop him again, drowning them both in laughter and movement. As the stranger watched, a scowl deepened on his face, his malice returning. "You really think you can outshine the truth? This is just the beginning." Ethan's resolve hardened. "I'm not afraid," he shouted, lifting Lily higher. "The truth doesn't have to be our enemy." And as they twirled, leaving the shadows behind, Ethan realized he had a choice to make. Could he confront the darkness without losing sight of the light? But just then, the music shifted again, and with it came a chilling silence. The crowd fell quiet, eyes fixed on the stranger who raised a hand to speak again. Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. What now? He thought, heart pounding in anticipation. But deep down, he knew that every moment might bring a new revelation. Was he ready to face what lay beneath the surface? As the silence stretched, the air seemed charged with potential. All he could do was wait for the stranger's next words, the very truth that might twist everything he held in his hands. The silence hung heavy, like fog creeping over a battlefield. Ethan stood at the center of the crowd, pulse racing, gripping Lily's hand tighter than ever. The stranger's eyes smoldered with an intimidating confidence. "I'm just here to remind you, Ethan," the stranger began, his voice smooth and chilling, "that every joyful dance comes with shadows. The truths you've hidden will claw their way back to the surface, and they want to be gentle about it." The crowd shifted, whispers fluttering like disturbed birds. Ethan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Was this the moment everything collapsed? The moments of freedom he'd felt dancing with Lily suddenly felt fragile, teetering on the edge of despair. But then a small voice cut through the noise of doubt. It was Lily, bright-eyed and undeterred. "Daddy!" she hollered, pulling him down to her level. "Dance with me." There was pure light in her eyes, an unwavering belief in him that ignited something fierce within. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in her unyielding spirit. "You're right, Lily," he said. "It's time to show this reality who I am." Suddenly, the music swelled back to life, its rhythm pounding like a heartbeat, pumping life into the uneasy atmosphere. The crowd felt the change. It wasn't about hiding from the truth anymore, it was about dancing through it, facing it head-on. Emboldened, Ethan lifted Lily high into the air. They spun together, their laughter infectious, a beacon of connection. He could taste the freedom in the air, the undeniable joy that rushed between them like a tide. Each twirl became a declaration of defiance against the darkness. The crowd erupted into applause, their energy lifting them higher, while the stranger remained rooted, expression shifting from smugness to a mix of annoyance and intrigue. "Keep dancing, Ethan. But remember, shadows aren't so easily outrun," he warned. "Let them come." Ethan shouted, eyes ablaze with determination. "I'll face whatever shadows I have to. Tonight I live in the light." With renewed energy, he joined Lily back in the dance, moving in sync with the joyful pulse of the crowd. They were a swirling mass of color and laughter, and he could feel the joy penetrating every corner of his heart. This was more than just a dance, it was a transformation, an acceptance of everything he had been and everything he could become. As he moved, images of his past flickered through him, both joyous memories of family and painful reminders of his struggles. But with every beat, every joyful leap, they no longer felt like chains to his ankles. They became stepping stones, shaping the man he was becoming. Lily pointed to the crowd, encouraging others to join. Neighbors and friends, people who had once been distant, began to step forward. The power of vulnerability unleashed a tidal wave of connection. No longer standing alone in their judgment, they began to dance, their laughter dissolving whatever tension had lingered. Ethan felt layers of fear peel away. Could he be everything that love demanded from him? Could he embrace the chaotic beauty of life with open arms? Fear loomed, but so did hope, twinkling in the air between them like starlight. As the dance took on a life of its own, Ethan turned to Lily. "You know what?" he said breathlessly. "This is just the beginning. The shadows won't catch us if we stick together." A grin broke across her face. "Forever and always." She cheered, and they leaned into one another, spinning wildly. The crowd joined them, a living tapestry of joy, forging connections built on love and celebration. But the lingering figure of the stranger stood at the edge of that radiant world with anger building in the depths of his eyes. As the rhythm of the dance intensified, something in Ethan's gut told him trouble was brewing. Suddenly, just as he thought they'd escaped the darkness, the stranger shouted above the music. "You might find comfort in this moment, Ethan, but it's coming." The truth. Ethan locked eyes with him, confident now. "Let it come. I'm not hiding anymore." The crowd roared, laughter and cheers erupted. Energy filled the air, a catalyst of shared emotions, forging connections. It bolstered him against the stranger's harsh words, their rhythm a shield against the equities of judgment. In that maelstrom of sound and movement, he felt Emily draw closer, standing at the sidelines. A flicker of vulnerability crossed her face, but there remained an undeniable thread of pride. Unable to resist, Ethan waved her over. "Come dance with us," he called, the invitation a plea for connection, a bridge to healing the space between them. Emily hesitated but decided in that heartbeat. She stepped forward, the crowd making room as she joined them on the dance floor. Ethan's heart soared. As a family, they began to sway together. The shadows and the stranger faded away like memories swept into the wind. Their movements spoke an unbreakable vow of love, acceptance, and a promise to face whatever truth lay ahead. And just when it seemed impossible, they danced together, filling the space with warmth. This was their moment of flourishing, a tapestry interwoven with shared vulnerability. Ethan could feel the weight of every shadow lifting, shining through as pure love embraced him. The music swelled, announcing their transformation, a testament to the power of connection. Beneath the shimmering lights, they danced into a future unfamiliar yet bright, united against the encroaching shadows. Then, blooming from within the crowd, voices rose in unity, echoing Ethan's final challenge to fear. No shadows could extinguish this flame of joy. No matter what awaited them, they would navigate it together. As the dance carried on, Ethan knew the celebration had barely begun. The truth was waiting, yes, but it would no longer be a weapon against him. Instead, it would become part of their story, woven into the fabric of their lives, a story of love, vulnerability, and unstoppable joy. And with every twirl, every beat, every heartbeat harmonized with hope, he finally believed that together they would always find the light. Now, before you scroll away, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Hit that like button to feed the algorithm and help bring this community closer together. Comment your feelings about this incredible transformation and share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey of hope. Don't wait not even one more second. Join us, and let's make these stories resonate far and wide.